And I have author of The Coming Collapse of China, Gordon Chang, joining us. Gordon, I say it is no mistake, I assume, that, or no accident, that the name of this aircraft carrier, the Fujian, is the same name of the province that's right across the strait, right?
That's certainly right. And we got to remember that a number of Taiwan islands are not just across the strait. They're just basically 3 or 4 miles from the Fujian coast. And they look at each other. So this was no accident, Greta. Clearly no accident.
Well, the president of Taiwan making the statement that they will not bow to pressure and that they are determined to fight, drawing the comparison to Ukraine. Is this, I mean, I don't know much about her. Do you know much about her?
Well, she was my business partner, Baker & McKenzie.
I guess you do then.
Yeah, she is extremely determined. She's and remember, she is Taiwanese. She doesn't consider herself to be Chinese. And when you look at the composition of Taiwan, about 80 to 85% of the people there say they're Taiwanese only, not Chinese. The number of people, the percentage of people on the island who consider themselves to be Chinese only is usually now under 5% in recent surveys. So this is an island that will fight because they do not believe that they share the same blood as the people across the strait.
If China were to invade Taiwan, and if the United States didn't help, or other countries didn't help, what would happen? I mean, how tough is the military in Taiwan?
Taiwan's military is not prepared, and it's not prepared for a number of reasons. First of all, it has had presidents before Tsai Ing-wen who were determined not to build up Taiwan's defense because they believed that they were Chinese, and therefore there should be a unification. But also, I think it's because the United States has prevented Taiwan from building its military. So we take some responsibility for that as well. And fortunately, in the last administration and this one, we're starting to see our Pentagon work more closely with Taiwan, developing strategies, helping them along. But this is way late.
You know, you talk about being way late, and I'm trying to, you know, sort of dial it back in my mind if I'm being an alarmist. But, you know, I mean, it certainly does seem that there's a lot of saber rattling, a lot of threats, a lot of comparisons to Ukraine by both President Xi in China and also the President of Taiwan. I mean, can you measure sort of the realistic risk that China is going to invade Taiwan, and when?
In normal times, China would not invade Taiwan. There are a lot of reasons why Beijing wouldn't, but these are not normal times, Greta. And there are two dangerous phenomena that are coinciding. One of them is that Russia has been taking down the international system, creating disorder, and that creates opportunities for bad actors. But also, and more important, China does not feel deterred by the Biden administration. This was very clear from statements from Chinese officials. We see it constantly in Chinese propaganda. And of course, the administration's actions on Taiwan have not been helping. So when President Biden was in Tokyo, you know, one day he said, we'll defend Taiwan. And the next day, the 24th of May, he said we wouldn't. So, you know, this really is a problem because Beijing sees the disarray in the administration.
And Taiwan does as well. I mean, Taiwan sees sort of the, you know, the difference, the statement and the walking the back and the clarification. I mean, the policy has not been particularly clear, not just this administration, but other administrations towards Taiwan.
Yes, but in particularly this administration, I mean, there's been 3 times when President Biden has publicly said that we had a commitment to defend Taiwan. And 3 times his administration has walked it back. And I think that creates in the minds of Beijing that there is a problem in the administration, that there is no clear decision to defend Taiwan. And because of that, that's another factor that is eroding the deterrence, which at this point, I think the Chinese leaders believe they can do what they want. They saw the failure of the Biden policy to stop Russia from invading Ukraine. They see the problems with the sanctions on Russia. And I think that they're taking a lot of encouragement from that.